Okay, let's talk about German social clubs. Is everyone excited? My understanding is you can only join one social club at a time. No. You could, because in Barcelona, I belong to all the social clubs.
Hey, don't steal our thunder.
I'm not stealing. I'm just having a question. All right, to lead us on this journey, the equity partner at Hybrid Farms, Cannabis Education, and Medical Partnerships at Loose Brands, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Let's hear it for Alex Revich.
What's up, everybody? Yes, back in Berlin, ICBC, 7 years. Wow, we've come definitely a long way. And willkommen, danke für Erscheinen. Mein Name is Alex. So I picked up a few things. Luckily, there's translation for those that don't understand us. But my name is Alex Revich. So glad to be here, and I'm so happy to be talking about this topic. You know, I had a tear in my eye watching the videos of April 1st and the people celebrating and smoking joints in the streets, and it reminded me of Legalization Day in Canada, which was a bit different in Canada because in Canada we had people smoking weed everywhere all the time, anyways. But here it was a very special day. So I want to introduce my awesome panelists here, and they're going to introduce themselves, and then we're going to jump into it. So I'm very excited to be talking about this great topic. So let's get it started with Tarek.
Thank you, Alex. My name is Tarek. I'm coming to you from the United States, California. I am the Vice President of Global Sales for a pre-roll company that makes pre-roll machines. Still new in Germany, but the way things are going, anything can change any day. So really what I focus on is automation. And once, you know, everything kind of falls into place, that you're going to want to make mass pre-rolls and mass production of cannabis products, which is going to be, you know, the most important way to be successful in a new and emerging market. So thank you for having us.
Hi, my name is Margaret Knitter. I'm a German lawyer at the German law firm SKW Schwarz. We are a full-service law firm. However, I specialized in that cannabis field in 2017 when medical cannabis became legal in Germany, and we have a focus group now with other lawyers as well. I'm an IP lawyer, but also do licensing and also now talk about social clubs. I'm very excited about that.
Hi, my name is Stefan. I'm from Hamburg, Germany. I'm one of the founders and CEO from Hemp Group. Hemp Group is one of the leading CBD companies. We do a lot of white label, private label. We have 9 retail stores all over Germany. We are the official partners from the Süddeutsche Zeitung. We run a quite successful affiliate program on the web domain from the Süddeutsche. I'm also a founder from Luxora. Luxora is a growth solution company where we want to grow for cannabis clubs here in Germany. And beside that, I run Cannabis Social Club in Spain for almost 15 years, for 9 years in Barcelona, and then for like 5 years in Ibiza. So I'm quite experienced when it comes to cannabis clubs.
Yeah, for sure. Give a round of applause for our awesome panelists. And my name is Alex Revich. I've been helping ICBC since the beginning, 2017, and back home, my day job is I run a company called Loose Brands. We're an edibles contract manufacturer, about 80 different products in the market. I know no edibles here yet, so we won't be talking about that. And I also have a pharmacy called Hybrid Farm. We're the first and only pharmacy in North America with medical cannabis. So very excited to be here with you all and to talk about this topic. And first things first, let's find out, you know, what are the rules? Because I always say we can't figure out how to use the rules properly if we don't know what they are. So maybe, Margaret, if you want to kick us off and tell us what are the rules for social clubs? And then we can figure out how we can make some money in a way where you're not allowed to make any money.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, it's all new. The social clubs, you can only start them in 1st of July. So we don't really know what exactly we need to do. We only have the law so far. And there too, first of all, you need to have an association. And the board members and the representatives all need to have their residency in Germany. So it doesn't work if you live abroad. All the members of the social club also need to have their residency in Germany. Only 500 members are allowed per social club. The board members need to have they are not allowed to have a criminal record. So they need some kind of certificate of good conduct. Then the other important thing to know is only the members of the social clubs are allowed to handle the growth. So they do the growing process and they give it to the other members. So you cannot hire some external guy to do that. Apart from dealing with the cannabis itself, with the plant, you can hire someone for cleaning or security or administrative processes. So you need an so-called Präventationsbeauftragten, that some kind of expert. They actually need to go through some education, so they know.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's you need some of your members have to have this title, so they know how to prevent harm from others through cannabis. Of course, you need to be 18. If you're 18, you get 30 grams. Let's say 25 grams maximum. You can have it per day, or per month you can get 50 grams cannabis. What else? A lot of documentation obligations. It is very transparent. I think it's going to be a lot of administrative proceedings there. You have to watch out.
And very interesting. Now, you said about the training. That's a very interesting way to know. Now, what about types of products that are going to be available that we know about? What's allowed? Like yesterday, we learned at the Global Investor Forum about hash and live rosins are allowed because they're solventless. Do we know anything else about other products that are going to be allowed?
No, that's exactly it. The cannabis and the hash, the raisins. And also clones and clones.
And no consumption, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, that's important. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. So we call them social club, but actually it's not so social there.
Yes, it's kind of an anti-social social club.
It's not at all social there. You're not allowed to consume it there. You're only allowed to consume it 100 meters away from the club itself. It's not comparable to the system we had in Spain.
Right, and you have to actually roll your own joints, which is unfortunate because Tarek's machine would have really come in handy there.
Sorry about that.
That's interesting, though.
And also I wanted to add, it's a little bit confused for the most people that since the 1st of April we have this kind of legalization. I don't like to call it legalization, part decriminalization, and everybody asks me, now we can open up a club, now we can get our weed from the club. This is not how it works. You can, the clubs can apply from 1st of July for the license, and this will also take some time. So even there are other people saying, okay, 1st of July all the clubs will start. No, 1st of July you can apply. And this will take, let's say, 3 months. So 1st of October you can start with your grow. So that means...
if it goes through.
If it goes through.
Yeah.
Maybe it takes a bit longer.
The authorities, in the law it says they can take 3 months to answer to your request.
Yeah. And that's why I say to everybody right now, I don't see it realistically that the clubs will hand out weed to the members in 2024.
Yeah.
Because from the timing, it doesn't work. It has to be go really on the best way possible to have product available in the clubs end of the year. And
right.
I don't see that.
And that brings up a really important question. Like, how many clubs do we expect in the first year? Like, we did the math. Yesterday, Bo Whitney was kind of doing an analysis of how many clubs he expects. He's quite conservative with a low number. But with so many people using cannabis in Germany, we thought we would have a ton of social clubs, but now with all these challenges and obstacles, can anyone throw out some estimates of what we think there might be?
I would think in the beginning it will be like a wild west ride in the next couple of months, and I would say a lot of people will try to open up grow clubs or cannabis clubs, let's call it cannabis clubs, but then we will see that's not that easy to run a successful cannabis clubs. And I would say we will see a lot of like activism clubs or friendship clubs, and then on the other hand, we will also see some professional running clubs. And I think in the next 2 or 3 years, we will have up to 2,000, between 2,000 and 3,000 professional running clubs. That's the more interesting clubs for me. Additional to that, we will have all kind of variation of clubs, I would say. But I would say maybe we have 10,000 clubs within the next 2 years.
Wow, that's very bullish.
If you look into like the Hout Cup study, they say there are up to 4 million people who consume cannabis, and then when you look like the heavy consumers, like I don't have the numbers correctly in my mind, but it's about 800 to 900,000 heavy users, and then you have another additional 500,000 frequent fill users. That's up to 1.3 million users. That's the most interesting cannabis users for me.
May I just like to add something? In the law, it also says in that respect that the states, the provinces in Germany are allowed to restrict it. So 1 club per 6,000 residents. So if they, let's see if they want to, but there might be a restriction in some states.
I just have that question. So it's only Germans that will be allowed to have.
You don't have to be German, but your home needs to be in Germany.
So your home needs. So tourists won't be able to go and partake. That's interesting. So that's also different than Spain.
Right. I wonder what kind of proof they're going to require to do this. Like, one thing I kind of have to agree with Stefan in terms of, I think there's going to be a lot more clubs than people are thinking, because what I learned coming here to Berlin so many times is it's very hard to get cannabis in Germany. I know maybe if you know somebody, it might be easy, but I can tell you as a tourist, I've traveled around the whole world. I don't think I've had more difficulty getting cannabis at a cannabis conference than Germany. Yeah. So I think people are underestimating that part of it. I think there will be a lot more. And then the medical system, which is still quite challenging, also has challenges where the stigma is still real. Doctors are still not on board. People are worried about it being on their medical record. So I actually think people will be using these clubs considerably, and I agree. We also need to stop calling them social clubs until they can be social. I think they're called growing clubs or
growing associations.
Right. So
cultivation associations.
So we're going to start changing that after this. Now, something else interesting that came up is also, much like Canada, even though we're federally legal, every province has their own interesting way of legalization, and we're seeing that now here in Germany as well. That this province might be more liberal and open-minded to these clubs, but other provinces not so much. We were talking about that backstage. If you want to kind of touch on, what have you seen, Stefan, and then maybe we'll...
Yeah, we saw it all when the law passed through the second chamber, like the day before, with this protocol notice. And this, in my opinion, this gives the provinces some room to how they interpret that. Some provinces will say, we don't mind what they're saying because it's not in the law. Other provinces like Bavaria will say we make it even harder for clubs because there will come some changes in the near future, and like bigger solutions like our solutions. We provide like a kind of grow hub. In this one of this protocol notice, they try to avoid professional growth. They really think that's a good idea to put everything in amateur hands and produce high quality of a product. That's an interesting way of thinking.
Safe. They think it's going to be safe by letting some amateurs do it. I don't know. That's from our experience in Canada. We had designated growers, so I had an ability to use cannabis. I couldn't grow myself. I would let someone grow for me, but that was usually not very good, and people were waiting for legalization to happen. So I wonder how that's going to kind of change things. Any other thoughts on the provinces? You agree with that?
Well, I guess Bavaria will be very strict about everything.
Right. Well,
as I said, the consumption is not allowed in nearby schools or kindergartens, and they must be not inside or 100 meters away. Mm-hmm. So after the law passed in Bavaria, they built a Schaukel. What's it in English? Something for kids to play on near
I heard
one
about
of
that.
the.
Yeah, someone was talking about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So they are not cannot consume it there now.
I wonder, I always teach my kids to, whenever you wonder something, follow the money. And I wonder how much certain provinces who make so much money on alcohol are really concerned that their alcohol money goes down, because we've seen with legalization, alcohol consumption goes down as much as 30%. So I wonder if a lot of these people are looking at that and wondering, we make this much money on alcohol. Now that cannabis is introduced, we're going to be losing a lot of that revenue, and it's definitely not going to be made up by these clubs that are non-profit. So I wonder if that's a factor.
Sure, but this was a factor the whole last 2 years, I would say, because the alcohol lobby tried to do everything to avoid this kind of law. I think not only did alcoholic, also the pharmaceutical sector tried to make it harder for us, that it's harder to get recreational cannabis. Everybody can grow their own medicine in the backyard. I don't think a big pharma like that.
No. And alcohol doesn't like that either, for sure. What about other countries? We know that Spain, we were just in Barcelona for ICBC. Boy, is that a lot of fun. I mean, it's so crazy to think Spain does not have legalization, but it actually has one of the greatest places of legal cannabis I've ever seen in my life. And they tell me, we don't have legalization. I'm like, I come from a land of legalization, and we don't even have jars of flour. We don't have places to consume. You guys have more legalization than us, and you don't even have legalization. Maybe touch on, you own some clubs in Spain, just high level for the people in the audience that might not know. Spain, Malta, what does that look like?
Spain is all operating like in a big gray zone, I would say. But you mentioned, I like the Spanish cannabis club model, because there we really have a social life. And there, I think this is like an ideal place to be. You can drink your beer, you can drink your wine, you can smoke your joint and watch a football game with all your friends. And it's not like in the Netherlands, where you're not allowed to drink beer and smoke a joint in the same local. In Spain, because we are in a gray area, you can do it. But the downsides in Spain is you cannot grow legally. It's more or less the same than like in the Netherlands. Right. You have to, in the end, a lot of clubs buy their stuff on the black market, because if they try to set up a legal grow, they get busted. And the clubs get busted anyways once or twice a year.
We was getting busted.
You have to have this in your business calculations. The police will come once or twice a year and take all they can get their hands on. They take all the weed, all the money, and then you open up next day with fresh products on the shelf.
Wow. And is Malta the same, kind of similar of what is happening in Spain?
No, I don't think Malta is more stricter, more like also in the German direction. But I think it took them in Malta over 2 years to get the first license. It just happened like a few months ago. So I think and Malta is very small, so we don't have the same experience there. I think it will be interesting in Germany as like one of the biggest countries, or the biggest country in Europe, what we will do here in Germany. And
I agree.
It'll be very interesting, all these different kind of business models that came up, and then we will see who find the best loopholes, I would say. Because I would say we are totally happy that we have now a cannabis law. For me personally, I think this is one of the baddest law I could imagine, but it's still the best cannabis law because we have one.
Yeah.
The most countries doesn't have any, so we can work with it. So and I'm quite fine that there are a lot of obstacles in the way, and we can operate with obstacles. But when it's too easy, then big pharma jump in, big money comes, and companies like myself, we have not that room to operate anymore, And no, we are good in finding solutions, and we will find solution for every obstacle that's in our way. And we did it like the last years also in Spain. It's still the same.
Yes, we'll find a way, absolutely. And Tarek, I know you like to visit these clubs. What are some of the things you really like about going to these clubs, and what do you think about that?
Yeah, I was talking with Stefan, and Stefan was, has more experience in actually running the clubs. But just me as a consumer, when I was in Spain for ICBC Barcelona, there is a variation in the comfort and the hospitality of these clubs per se. So like when you're talking about hanging out, having a drink, watching some football with friends, that sounds ideal. Even in California, you just have some dingy dispensaries where you walk in and you feel like you're breaking the law even though it's legal. So my advice for all the social clubs is just try to make it as welcoming as possible, just changing that stigma. The dispensaries in California, you have grandmothers and grandfathers that go into them and they won't go into the ones that are super dark and scary, but if it's bright lights and colors and just kind of normalizing, I think that's a important part for even the officials in government to see that this isn't some, shady drug business. This is just normal, just like going to grab a beer. So
right, and it's very important to be very welcoming. I actually saw one of my favorite clubs in Barcelona, Choco. Cedric is here from there, and it's very bright and welcoming. And it was nice to see locals there and tourists intermingling, kind of getting to know. I almost feel bad that the locals come. We're like, well, what's with these lineups? It's Cannabis, of course. That's why. But we have to, when we think about why these clubs are, like in Canada, people are like, why are they doing it like this? They're so confused. One thing I always have to explain to them is that these are ways of getting around these European Union conventions. The European Union and the UN, they're very strict. Although I got to point out, our Prime Minister in Canada, Justin Trudeau, who's not very popular in most of the people that I know, but he did say something the other day that was important. He said that the United Nations have not even said a word about our legalization, because everyone was like, well, what happened? Everyone was all scared that, we legalized and the UN was going to come after us. And he suggested that we never even got any letters. Now it came out that apparently a letter was sent. He must have just shredded it and didn't read it. But I think it's important to know, and maybe Margaret, if you can kind of touch on, or someone else, why are the clubs the way we do it, and how is the EU, how is this kind of around the EU, and kind of how is it skirting around?
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, back then when our traffic coalition came into here into Germany, they actually had a different view of how to legalize cannabis. They were thinking, maybe a bit like Canada, thinking about chains, their distribution chains, commercial supply chains. But then, so that's what they said when they all started. But then they looked into the law and found, as you said, the EU conventions, there are 3, and they went back to the European Union, the Commission, and tried to find a way. They were very critical there, and they didn't approve it. So in the end, what we have now is a compromise. So we have a partly legalization, as you already said. You can do it at home and with the social clubs. And in the future, but it's already in the law, this is a plan. The second pillar, they say, they will have models. They will try to establish these supply chains, and they will make research with them. And I think, that's what we plan. We don't know anything about that yet. It's just there in the law that they are planning that, but we have no details on that. And so this is first pillar, the very start, and that's within the laws how we can do it.
And it's interesting, in Switzerland, they were one of the only ones who kind of did a different thing. They have these pilot projects that are also broken up by provinces. I wonder if they're also going to go the social club way. I don't know if they've kind of been speaking about it, but it'll be interesting to see if at the end of all these consultations, if they're going to go that way too. I don't know if you have any thoughts on Switzerland. And then we're going to open it up to some questions early, because I feel like there'll be some questions, but we have more questions if you don't. So think about that. Stefan, what do you think about Switzerland?
I would say now everybody, at least in Europe, looks about us, about Germany, how we will do it, and we will do some mistakes for sure, and they will look at us how we handle that. And it's in theory the clubs has to be non-profit, and but there are ways to make profit with clubs even when they are non-profit. But you have to be creative,
Yeah, would you recommend to anybody in the audience who's considering opening a social club or a consumption club in Germany, do you think now is a good time to jump in while it's early, or it's still too many loopholes that you don't really know yet.
It depends how deep are you in the topic. You have to know the law quite good. You have to already have some loopholes in mind who you work with, and I wouldn't say it's a good idea or a bad idea. I would say even if you start in half a year or a year, you can be successful. But if you have already your business model in mind, start now. It's
right. Yeah. So there are ways, though, still to, even though it's nonprofit, like you said, what you kind of do in Spain, even with the 100 meters, you cannot you cannot consume within 100 meters.
Yeah, in public. But it means when you have like a non-public, let's say a restaurant, a smoking restaurant next to a cannabis club, you can consume there because this is not public.
Right.
So there you have to look out about the non-smoking regulation in all parts of the country. I think, but you have this cigar clubs, this gentleman clubs, and all that. There you can smoke cigars. There you can also smoke cannabis now. You know, in Bavaria, I know they have a stricter regulation when it comes to smoking clubs. There would be more hard, but this is we'll see a real variety of a landscape in Germany. In some provinces, you can do a lot more than in others. In all kind of, not just for the clubs, also for consumption. I think it's really important to have like consumption rooms for the members, because this is what I like in Spain. The people consume there, and my employees they see if somebody has a problem with the consumption, then they can start to speak about it. We have all this regulation that we have this. A drug police officer in this club, but the people doesn't smoke there, so you don't see who has a problem, you know?
Yeah, and people ask, like, should I get into this? I say, do you love cannabis, and do you have a stomach for the stress of being in a new regulatory environment, which of course the cannabis can help with. And and by the way, people talk about how it's a non-profit. We like to joke in Canada that all our businesses in Canada are non-profit, because although I do see someone in the audience who does pretty well, but yes, in general, most of our businesses are non-profit, unfortunately. The only person that really makes a lot of profit in Canada is the government, but we won't get into that. That's a different topic for another day. Now, we definitely have some more questions for the audience, but I feel like people out there want some questions. Does anyone have any questions? And Guy, you want to ask? And then if not, I have more
Sure.
questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I had a feeling
All
this
right,
would be
we'll start here.
a hot topic with lots of questions.
You said that people, to join a club, you cannot have a criminal record.
Not when you join a club, when you are a board member of the club.
Okay, board member.
Just for the board member.
There you go. Perfect. I like it. Please be brief. Please be brief.
You're good, you're good.
Hello, thank you. My question is for everybody. Here we are talking about the cannabis clubs in Spain. That's the base for these cannabis clubs in Germany. But we are forgetting here in Germany not only the social, that's very important, but what you do with the social, because you educate people throughout these cannabis clubs. When people stay there, consume there, they can also stop quitting smoking. The association can advise them to do this. Also, association can be the best way to do campaigns in the prevention, in the risk of use of cannabis.
Oh yeah, we agree.
And Germany is not doing it. Thank you.
No, I think everyone here agrees, but this is a step in the right direction towards, and this is federally legal, where in Spain, as great as that is, it's still, they buy the product from the illicit market, and it's kind of a mix would be the right answer, I think. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, hello. I was wondering if there are any quality control requirements for the cannabis that is produced in the social club?
That is an excellent question, actually.
And if so, do you know how this testing will be organized? So is it the responsibility of governmental institutions, or will
Thank you for bringing that up. I actually meant to bring it up because, yes, like we know that there's going to be a lot of regulatory compliance and reporting at the club. You'll need software for that. But what about...
We are waiting for this kind of information. I hopefully until the 1st of July, when we all can apply for the license, we know that topic. We speak about that in priori to the law. What about testing and all that? And it's critical because
Expensive though. It's very expensive. We test each product 3 times in Canada.
Yeah, and you know, if you have this small club, maybe they have like a special genetic specialist strains, and they have just a yield from 100 gram, let's say. And how much from this 100 gram you want to take apart for testing? When you ask the laboratory, they said, yeah, I need 50 grams. So you give away half of your harvest for testing.
Yeah, for microbial
That's not a good idea, I would say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
But in the law, it does say that the authorities are allowed to go in there and make testings, but not very specific.
I think Ngayo is available for testing.
You took my line.
You.
I was going to say, yes, I'm available to help test. My rates are very reasonable. I won't even take you 50 grams, like 3 grams.
Oh, 3
grams.
That seems reasonable to me.
I have kind of a 2-part question. One, can you kind of outline what the clubs would look like here in Germany as far as the relationship between the physical location as well as the grow facilities? And then my second part has to do with the point you brought up with the kind of having almost like a separate business that would be a place that's private where you can consume cannabis on site as almost like a sister company to the collective.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's some ideas to have like a separate business for consumption room next to it or something like that. Sure.
And the first question, you can, where you grow and where the association is placed does not have to be at the same spot. I think that was your first question.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
And keep an eye on the Luxora website. I'm sure there'll be some more info about that soon.
Does it need to? It needs
Good
to be
to know.
in the same state or same province.
No.
No. So you
No.
can get it from anywhere, and as long as it's obviously within Germany.
Yeah,
Yes.
it just has to be in Germany, and you can produce in one province, and your dispensary can be
Let's be
in
honest,
another.
with the open borders in Europe, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, you can literally get in your car and drive to a different country, and they'll say, hey, where'd you get it? Hey, I'm a member of this club. It's going to be very interesting. Or I have a medical prescription, and I'm driving to France. Can you get arrested in France with your cannabis with your medical prescription from Germany? Anyways, again, different topic. Apologies. Another question. We're talking cannabis grow clubs. Yes.
I would like to know if it's possible to open social clubs in the form as a brand. You know, that you can open multiple social clubs in multiple cities, for example. Would that be possible?
That's a good point. Can one person own multiple clubs? In theory. I don't know.
And no person can own a club. It's an association. The association owns to do themselves. And branding and marketing is a critical topic because you are not allowed to market at all when it comes to cannabis. So we have to see what would be possible.
How are people define your club if you're not allowed to market? Do they just use the force, or you have to?
That's what we have in Canada right now. We can't
Yeah.
market our cannabis either, technically, but we find creative ways of doing that. We call it education, by the way.
Sure. Okay, so there was was it in Colorado? There was a dispensary in Colorado because you're not allowed to advertise. So they would advertise the businesses next to them, like, hey, if you want to get a haircut, come here.
We've seen that,
It's right next door to the cannabis dispensary.
We've seen that in Canada too, actually. It's a pretty good idea. And by the way, on that note,
and it helps the whole community.
We also we didn't touch on that. You can't be a member of multiple clubs technically, but I think fake ID sales are going to be very popular here in Germany because of that.
I don't think you need the fake idea because you are just declare that you are just a member of one club. The government doesn't check it.
Good point. Very
Hello.
good point.
So my question would be more for Margaret. I think she should understand here the most about the German laws and how this will work. So for investors now who all wait, to create those cannabis clubs, just to be kind of clear what the regulation will be exact, like line after line, how we can grow fertilizers, all the technique where we can invest, like all this money is big money. We need to be sure about this. And when this is gonna be sure? This on July 1st, do the German government will say this and this and this for the clubs, exact, this and this you can grow, that and that. Or my lawyer said that, we will just allow this and then we will wait and then we will catch some big facilities and then we will interpretate the law and then through these interpretations we're gonna find out.
I get
so
your point.
For the investors it's
interpretation.
I see the frustration there, and I feel with you.
Bitte.
But Actually, this is quite common in Germany. We have the law, and how you interpret it, it's not in other countries like the US or UK, it's different, but in Germany, it's all jurisprudence. So in the end, it will take some time. You will try it out with your lawyers, then it will go to court, and then you get a decision. I'm so sorry, but this is how Germany is, and then it will get more and more defined, and through the years, you will have more knowledge how the system works. But at the beginning, we have a very abstract, not so specific law, which is the case in Germany. That's like all our laws are like
I guess
that.
you need a good lawyer, is what she's saying, and she knows a good lawyer to recommend. But you know, it's very typical. Very vague laws that are up to interpretation is really how this is done, and you find the creative ways to interpret them, and then you challenge them, and that's how we build an industry.
Yeah, and then you will see what's will work in the north of Germany will not work in the south of Germany. So you will have slightly different interpretation of the law in all the provinces.
The Autobahn's going to be busy.
Yeah.
At least you can get there fast.
But for all that...
More questions, we're going to go very quickly.
Okay.
Hello, I have a question. If you're a member of the social club, you have to give your private information. Do you expect from the German police that they will have more control, like sitting around the social club and have like drug tests when you drive a car, because it stays in your blood several days? So a lot of the member will be afraid to give their information about that.
Yeah,
I mean, they did the same now with the social club, like in Austria with the exhibition.
Testing for drug impairment while driving is a very big challenge. We have this in Canada. You can't test blood because it lasts so long in your blood. So I smoke cannabis today, tomorrow I drive my car. We don't really have a test that says you are high right now. I mean, there is a company called Zentrella that does an EEG headband that measures your brainwaves and tells you if you're high right now, but that's way too complicated for a police officer.
Let's talk about clubs.
So, yeah.
Okay, I think we already cut out a little bit on that question regarding the advertisement. So the law says there's a strict advertising ban on cannabis, but also the cannabis clubs. Where's the line? Like, what is information and what is considered advertisement? Are we allowed to have a website, or like where do we cut the line of advertising?
I think what is already happening now, if you just want to provide education, so we do have already cannabis clubs in Germany, and they have a website, and you can provide information on cannabis and side effects, but you're not allowed to promote the consumption.
Yeah,
so they're very, also what I didn't mention before, when you give out your cannabis, you're not allowed to brand it. It must be a neutral package, it says in the law. But yeah, there's not a really clear distinction, but
If you're interested in this topic, though, go pay attention to what Canada's doing. We have plain packaging, we have a lot of this boring regulations, but we find creative ways to promote these products. We just don't call it promotion. Again, we call it education, or, you know, we find other ways of doing it. So follow Canada or reach out to me. I'll give you some links to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. It's like up at the top, there's someone waiting for a long time. No, it does. No? Okay, sorry, okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll be outside the hall. Happy to answer any questions.
I have two questions. One would be...
Uh-oh, Frederick.
Does it work now? Okay. I'd like to know if you know that if several clubs can share one production site. That's the first question. And the other one would be, could you clarify a little bit about the taxation?
Ooh, taxes. Wait, they're not going to tax this, are they?
No taxes.
Yeah, I would say non-taxes, non-profit, but it depends a little bit how you structure your association a little bit. And what was the first part of the?
Well, that's your part. If you can grow for several social clubs.
No, I interpret you cannot share anything with other clubs. You cannot share like drying rooms. You cannot share flowering rooms. And how I read it, everything has to be separated.
All right, thank you so very much. We're out of time. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of your questions, but what a fantastic, let's hear it for this entire panel. That was super informative. And I'm sure you can mob them as soon as they walk outside the door and ask them more questions en masse as a team in a variety of different languages. We are going to go to lunch. We have 1 hour.